All right, sometimes you gotta bless the Lord. When you come through and you didn't believe you were gonna make it, that's a wonderful time to bless the Lord. When you pray and things move, that's the time to bless the Lord. So we do it again. Burning Bowl 2018. But we come with the expectation that something is going to happen. I love being with people who will push through cold weather. because dig it, what's on the other side of tonight for you was worth coming. So I'm glad you put 2 or 3 layers on. After all, this is Chicago. You dress for the city. I don't know about you. I was in LA last weekend. Last weekend, I dressed for LA. In Chicago, I dress for the city. Because the Hawk will show up. The good news is God will show up too. So then, our topic for tonight is Reborn for Greatness. And what I'll share for you in the time that I am with you is just a reminder about things that you perhaps already know. But if you are going to get the most out of tonight and make your 2018 miraculous, there are just a few things that you need. So tonight you'll get to symbolically burn those things that you no longer need or desire. Tonight you will, if you haven't already, you'll get to complete and submit your letter to God. And throughout the course of the early part of the year, you're welcome. Throughout the course of the early part of the year, you'll get the prayer support of our prayer ministry to accompany your prayers. Say, accompany my prayers. You'll get the prayer support of our prayer ministry, Reverend Cook, to accompany the prayers of those who are praying, because the prayers of the righteous availeth much. And while these are important, there are also 3 more things that you'll need. Put this in your notes. You'll need the desire and motivation to do what must be done. By that, I mean there are no magic tricks taking place here tonight. If you will not submit yourself and commit yourself to the changes that you need, then your 2018 will be just like your 2017. Because a chronological change in time is not equal to a chronological shift in consciousness. So if you want to change, don't let just the calendar flip, let your mind flip. So you need the desire and motivation to do what must be done, because there will be many days, minutes, and seconds that you don't have the motivation to do what must be done. I call this the Paul syndrome. It's where you'll find yourself doing the things you don't want to do and not doing the things you should do. Like you'll want to eat when you should be working out. You'll want to shop when you should be saving. You'll want to gossip when you should be praying and meditating. And you'll want to complain when you should be talking to the person whose relationship you're trying to fix. So the primary question before us tonight is, will we be committed to doing what must be done in order to live 2018 in a miraculous way? The second thing that you'll need is the knowledge of how to do it. See, one of the things that frustrates children the most, particularly school-age children, is when they're told to do something that they don't know how to do. And what I've come to learn in my few years on the planet is that adults are only children with a few more years behind them. And so adults also get frustrated when you tell them to do something that they don't know how to do. So you'll need the desire and motivation, and you'll also need the knowledge. And then you need the skill to consistently, say consistently. You'll need the skill and ability to consistently execute the behaviors to keep your 2018 on track. See, I don't know about you, but I do not want a car that will only start 50% of the time. I don't want a relationship that's only healthy 60% of the time. I don't even want a voice-activated system that can't get my information right. I said to Siri on my phone, I said, Siri, real talk. I said, Siri, I have colleagues who are friends. I said, Siri, call Joe Hill. She said, calling John Hannah. I said, no. He picked up the phone, like, hey, man. Like, hey. Because I wasn't really trying to call him. You understand what I'm saying? So you'll need to be able to consistently, say consistently, produce what you must produce and exhibit the ability and skill to experience what you want to experience in 2018. Is that all right? I want you to know before we get into the crux of this lesson that the difference between information and transformation is motivation, integration, and execution. So you'll need to be motivated, you need to execute what you hear, and then you'll need to be able to do it consistently. So the first point for how it is you can begin to shape and craft your 2018 and live 2018 in a very miraculous way, the very first thing I want to challenge you to do is to supercharge your will. Say supercharge your will. Put this in your notes. Your will is your ability to choose, decide, command, direct, and determine. Your will is your ability to choose, decide, command, direct, and determine. Each and every one of us uses our will to make life-enhancing choices. Each of us also uses our will to make life-destroying choices. And so if you intend to live 2018 in a way that is miraculous, you have to be able to make decisions that are consistent with what you say you want and where you intend to go. If you do not change the pattern of your decision making, then there is no way for you to change the pattern of your demonstration. And so the same unreliable folk will show up with a different uniform and a different song, but a similar result. Willpower moves the other faculties of the mind to action. So one of the primary ways that we supercharge our willpower is to live out of our purpose. When Jesus was having one of his most difficult challenges, one of the first things he said is, not my will, but thy will be done. If you want to supercharge your will, you have to let the mind of God influence your mind. If you want to supercharge the decisions that you make and the choices that you choose, you have to be willing to let the mind of God influence the way you think. Because here is what I know about God. He will not fail you, nor will he forsake you. Here is what I know about God. While the road might be rocky, he will give you an umbrella to carry you through the storm. Here is what I know about God. He will carry you when you can't walk. So if you intend to get the most out of your 2018, I want to remind you of the words of Proverbs where it says to trust the Lord with all of your heart, to lean not on your own understanding, to acknowledge him in all of your ways, and he will do what? He'll direct your path. He'll direct your path. You want to supercharge your will. The best way to supercharge your will is to connect to the purpose that God gave you. How many of you know that none of us is here by mistake? How many of you know that none of us is here by chance? How many of you know that we are all here by divine assignment? Show of hands. So if you are not here by mistake, if you're not here by accident, if you are here by purpose, if you are here by divine intention, then you're here because there is something for you to get. Do not leave this night without what it is you came to get. And dig this, you are the one that's solely responsible for what you need. If you're not here by chance, you're here for a purpose. But sometimes it's hard to fulfill our purpose when we try to live our purpose out emulating someone else. That's why Shakespeare said, this above all things to thine own self be true. Because the challenge for many of us is that because we don't know who we are and what we're called to do, we're trying to do what somebody else is supposed to be doing. We're looking at somebody else's line and we're looking at somebody else's social media and we're saying, well, I see them doing that, I want to do that too. But just because they're doing it doesn't mean it's in your DNA to do it. Just because that's where they're showing you they are doesn't mean that you are not supposed to be above that. As a matter of fact, I'm convinced that everybody in here tonight is supposed to be the head and not the tail. The challenge for many of us is that we don't know how to be true to ourselves. By show of hands, how many of you know that God doesn't need you to be a cheap imitation of somebody else? Yeah, man. Steve Jobs says your time is limited. Don't waste it trying to live somebody else's life. Right? So you have to know yourself, and in knowing yourself, you'll come to know your purpose. Many of us are completely delusional about our purpose, which means that we also probably don't know why we have the talent, skills, gifts, and abilities that we have. See, God uniquely equipped you for the purpose that you have. And God gave you everything that you need to fulfill the purpose that he gave you. And if you waste that trying to be somebody else, you will miss the blessing because the blessing is in your divine design. The blessing and increase for why you are here is directly attached to your purpose. And if you're walking out of step with your purpose, you will miss the blessing that's here for you that nobody else can get. And so I want to challenge you on tonight to commit yourself to discovering your purpose. If you're not sure what your purpose is, if you're not sure why it is that you are here, what is it that interests you? What is it that turns your passion on? What sets you on fire? This is how you get some insight to what your purpose is. What will you do for free? You say, like, not much. You got to pay to lay. You know where I stay. All right? Say, not much. I ain't doing much for free. I ain't doing much for free. But I want to challenge you to be a person of purpose, because you're here to make a major contribution. You are here to make a major contribution. You are here to make a major contribution, not to complain about what's going on. You're here to be the answer, not to complain about the problem. See, what you don't realize is sometimes where you see dark spaces in your life, God sent you to be the light. I want to help you tonight. I want to challenge you to be a person of purpose, because there's more for you to do. There's more for you to be. There's more for you to have. There's more for you to get. But you've got to be willing to be tenacious about what you have been divinely designed to be. I was in San Diego in November. And what I realized while I was there was that I had an incredible paradigm shift while I was in the Navy. You might have heard me tell this story before, but one of the things that I noticed was that I never saw regular sailors with Navy SEALs. Anytime I saw Navy SEALs, they were always hanging out with other Navy SEALs. And on one occasion, I got an opportunity to ask this Navy SEAL, why don't I ever see you guys hanging out and exercising and running with other sailors? He says, because you guys don't generally have what it takes to run with us. I said, well, what do you mean? You're in the Navy and I'm in the Navy. You've had training and I had training. He said, no. See, what you don't realize about your training and my training is that by the time you've given 40% of your effort, you'll quit. But I don't quit at 40%. Because when I'm tired, I know I got a whole nother 60% to push through. See, when I'm frustrated, I know I got a whole nother 60% to push through. When I'm angry, I know I got a whole nother 60% to push through. When I'm doubting, I know I got a whole nother 60% to push through. So you all are complacent and I'm tenacious. He messed me up with that, Sonia, because I'm like, I want to become tenacious too. I don't want to quit at 40% when I haven't even given half of my capacity, because I learned here that I was born for greatness. And if I'm born for greatness, I'll be darned if I'm going to give up before I've even got my motor running. So I want to encourage you to not give up. They say only 8% of people fulfill their New Year's resolution. Most people quit by the 3rd week. They don't even realize they got another 60%. What I'm hoping on tonight is that I'm looking at people who, when they get to their 40, they'll motor on to 50. They'll push to their 60. They'll stretch to their 70. They'll reach out to their 80. Because if you give 100% of your effort, imagine what God will do with your increase. You're a purposeful person. Get on purpose. Get on purpose. Get on purpose. Because to live without purpose means to live at the mercy of chance. Don't leave your destiny up to chance. Be on purpose. Be about your business. And I get it. I'm not tripping. I understand why we quit at 40%. I understand it. I get it. See, when they want to train baby elephants how to stay in their place, they stay in their place. When they want to train baby elephants how to stay in their place, they stay in their place. Y'all better wake up. When they want to train baby elephants how to stay in their place, they stay in their place. When they want to train baby elephants how to stay in their place, they will take a rope and they will tie that rope to a stake. And every time the baby elephant tries to move, the baby elephant will learn. Say learn. When the baby elephant tries to move, the baby elephant will learn that it does not have the power to move because it is tied in place. Say tied in place. But as an elephant follows its natural trajectory, say natural trajectory. I tripped a couple of y'all up on that one. As an elephant follows its natural trajectory and it grows into a 5-ton mammoth, the same little string will hold a 5-ton elephant in place. Because the 5-ton elephant learned at a baby that there were some things that they were not supposed to do. But I'm here to tell you that there are some 5-ton spiritual beings here tonight who have mindlessly let doubt and fear and confusion serve as a tiny rope to keep them in place. But on tonight, there's too much power in your soul. There's too much gusto in your stride. There's too much wind at your back to let a little thing like doubt keep you in place. You're a person of purpose. The second thing that I need you to do is power up your perspective. Power up your perspective. Put this in your notes. Power up your perspective. See, one of the great things about walking by faith and not by sight is that it allows us to keep moving without knowing what the end is. So if I can keep moving without knowing what the end is, I can embrace a larger vision of myself regardless of where I am right now. Oh, listen, don't miss that. Don't miss that. One of the things that faith does is it allows us to walk by faith and not by sight, which means I can keep moving without seeing where the end is. Yeah? And if I can keep moving without seeing where the end is, the fact that it has not shown up in this moment does not mean that I can't draw it to me. Are you with me? Because I believe the master teacher said, I came that they might have life and have it more abundantly. And so if you believe that you deserve an abundant life, I want to challenge you to expand your perspective and not settle for a life of limitation. You got to power up your perspective. You got to power up your perspective. That means that you intend to have a life in your body. If you power up your perspective, that means you intend to have life in your relationships. That means you intend to have life on your job. That means you intend to have life in your family. That means you intend to have life and health in your body. That means you intend to have life and abundance and health in your finances. That means you intend to have life and abundance and health in your peace of mind. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to power up my perspective because I believe that there is more in store for me than what I'm experiencing right now. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get mine. That's why Stevie Covey said, live from your imagination, not from your history. Yeah, I'm ready to live from a different place, right? Because there's a difference between going where you're watching and watching where you're going, right? In order to power up your perspective, you've got to be willing to fire up your imagination. Now, when you use your imagination, please know that the same power of imagination that we use to see a preferred future, that's the same power that we use to worry. So I just want to get you to remember to imagine the things that you want to experience. See, when you use your imagination, you're drawing pictures with your mind. And when you're drawing pictures with your mind, what you're saying to God is, this is what I want. And if God is in the business of answering prayers, oh my goodness, then what you're holding in your mind is what you're saying to God you want in your life. So when you hold an image of not enough, and when God sends you a rush of not enough, it's really answered prayer. Are you with me? So as we prepare to power up our perspective, as we prepare to enlarge our vision, know that the higher you go, the better you can see. The higher you go in prayer, the better you'll be able to see. The higher you go in spirit, the better you'll be able to see. The higher you go in learning, the better you'll be able to see. Because an ant and an eagle don't share the same worldview. Now that's the good news. Are you ready for the bad news? The bad news is that 9 out of 10 people won't change, even though the circumstances dictate that they should. Now that doesn't have to be you. It might be somebody on your road. But it doesn't have to be you. But 9 out of 10 people won't change even when they know they should. I love the story about the man who went to see his doctor. And immediately upon seeing his doctor, the doctor said to him, my friend, you're in terrible shape. You've got to do something and you got to do it right away. He said, the first thing I want you to do is to tell your wife to cook nothing but nutritious meals for you. He said, the second thing I want you to do is to stop working 12-hour days. He said, the next thing you need to do is inform your wife that you have to set a budget and she has to follow it. He said, the final thing that I want you to do is to tell your wife that she has to keep the kids from bothering you so that you can relax. And the man kind of wisely said to the doctor, could you please call my wife in here and give her those instructions? He said, she'll believe it more and it'll sound more official if it comes from you. And so the doctor said, absolutely, no problem. So he called the wife in and the wife and the doctor talked. Once they drove home, the wife came to the husband with tears in her eyes and with a crackle in her voice. She said, I talked to the doctor. And I guess you only got 30 days to live. Because some people won't change, even when they know they should. You got to be willing to power up your perspective. You got to be willing to power up your perspective. Say, power up your perspective. The final thing I want you to do, the final thing I want you to do is just jumpstart your preparation. I want you to jumpstart your preparation. So everything that we've done tonight is to prepare you for a miraculous breakthrough. The music is intended not to be a performance, but to facilitate your transformance. The prayer consciousness that has been set in this room is intended to help support the prayer consciousness that you will carry with you, not only through this experience tonight, but even when you leave here. You want to stay working on that which you say you intend to experience. So you've got to prepare. Because if you don't prepare, you won't be ready for what's happening when it comes to you. Is that right? So preparation is important. And the preparation that comes along with making sure that you give excellent work and a tenacious effort to what you say you desire. See, I like to say that preparation and tenacity is like wrestling a gorilla. You don't stop when you're tired, you stop when the gorilla is tired. So you have to continue staying at it so that you will be ready, because your preparation is what you give God to work with. Man, don't miss that. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. Don't ask God to do for you what you're not ready for. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. I believe somewhere in the scripture it says, the Father works and I work. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. Because you'll be praying and wondering why nothing's moving, and it's not moving because you ain't ready. Don't miss that. You have to provide something for God to fill up. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. You've got to be prepared so that when the moment comes, you can seize it. Don't miss it. Are you with me? So you need a system of development, something that can help you work through after tonight. I recommend getting in the JCI class. You need a system of development, something that can help keep you prepared. I recommend showing up at tomorrow's seminar. You need a system that can help you. I recommend being at church on Sunday morning. You need something that can help and support the transformation that you are wanting to experience. When you prepare, know that sometimes your preparation means that you will go through some difficulty. Sometimes your preparation for where it is you intend to go brings with it some adversity. You have to be prepared for the adversity. If you are not ready for the adversity, it also says that you're not ready for the blessing. Because God never gives you something that you don't have the consciousness for. You have to know how to deal with the adversity. That's why I like Cavett Roberts' statement when he says, if we study the lives of great men and women carefully and unemotionally, we find that their greatness was developed, tested, and revealed in the darker periods of their lives. He says one of the greatest tributaries to the river of greatness is the stream of adversity. You're going to go through something to get something. Is that right? So prepare yourself. Get ready, because it's right here, right now. Everything that you need in order to experience the breakthrough that you desire is right here, right now. God is ready to move in a mighty way and already has been right here and right now. I'll close with this. There was a pastor who wanted to get to know his new member. And it said that the guy was a sports enthusiast. And so the pastor decided to invite the gentleman to a boxing match. And as fate would have it, the new member had never been to a boxing match. And as the two fighters were squaring off in the center of the ring, one of the fighters made the symbol of a cross with his gloves. And the new member eagerly turned to the pastor and said, "Did you see the gesture that one fighter just made?" The pastor said, "Yeah, I saw it." And the new member said, "What does that mean?" And the pastor said, not much if he can't fight. Because God is, I gotta laugh at that myself. God is only gonna use what you give him. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Then let's get it. So first we have our experience of releasing. And in our experience of releasing, we will take the small sheet. We'll take the smallest sheet. And we'll write out on this list the things that we want to release. Those things that we no longer need. Those things that have served their purpose. Those things that have came for a season and now it's time to let them go. Write those on this list. I want to encourage you to not burn anybody up. If it's a relationship that doesn't work, just say relationship that doesn't work. Because you are one with your demonstration. And when you release it, when you free it, you'll be free indeed. So you don't have to burn nobody up. If there are any habits that you have that you need to overcome, know that you have the power to overcome it. Let's take the statement on our bulletin together. I let go of all doubt, fear, criticism, judgment, and condemnation. I let go of all beliefs in poverty, age, sin, sickness, disease, and death. I release and let go of all the negative aspects in my life and my affairs now. It is done now. It is done now. It is done now. Amen.